It is truly an honor to be your MC today as we celebrate our veterans. The AVWAL Committee and the City of Palmdale host this celebration to let our community and our veterans know that we appreciate the service and sacrifice of all of our military members. It is truly special to belong to a community that shows continuous respect for our veterans. I've lived here for 29 years. I've begun to think that this is the norm. But as I've met newcomers to our community and I speak to them, they say that we truly are a unique and special community in the support of our veterans. So I want to say thank you to our citizens and to our community for being so supportive of our veterans. Thank you. And if I could ask our veterans that are here today, especially those seated in the front that came in early, stand up and just take a look around and see the support of this community. It truly is inspiring. These people love you, they respect you, and they are here to honor you. That is so heartwarming to see this many people come out here. Thank you so much. And now it is my honor to introduce one of my favorite veterans, Mike BERTELL, President of Point Man Antelope Valley, to add a few words of welcome.
Welcome. It's wonderful to see so many people out here today to celebrate veterans. We're here to honor our service members. We recognize the sacrifices they have made and the courage it takes to defend honor, duty, and country. Today is a beautiful day to enjoy each other's company and be grateful for the freedoms we have as a result of many soldiers, Marines, airmen, Coast Guards, midshipmen dedicated to protecting our country. We celebrate the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who have worked to keep our country and other countries free. We begin our ceremony with the presentation of the colors by the Highland High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard. Please stand. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by the National Anthem by Master Sergeant Daniel Plaster, accompanied by the Guardian Brass. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Master Sergeant Plaster. Everyone be seated now. Now return the program back to Station Nemeth, and thank you very much for everyone coming. It's going to be a beautiful morning.
Thank you, Michael. Well, as we've stated, we are here today to honor our veterans, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifices. It's also important to remember the families of the veterans, because when a person is serving in the military, the family definitely has sacrifices as well. So we'd like to also call special attention to the families of our veterans. Thinking of all the veterans who join us in this group today, and those who are here only in spirit, I can't help but feel gratitude for them and for their sacrifices to maintain our freedom. Today we are honored to have a Gold Star family whom we met at our Montebello display in April, and they are with us here today. And it is the family of Robert Salas Rocha that joins us today to view his name properly engraved on our wall. I want to thank the Rocha family for attending and for your sacrifice of your brother. And it is a privilege to be here with you today. Thank you to the Rocha family. It's truly an honor to stand in the midst of patriots, citizens, and family and friends of those who have nobly served. Our guest speaker today is among those noble veterans. Dennis Anderson is a clinical therapist who specializes in working with veterans with mental health challenges resulting from military service. He was on active duty during the Vietnam War era, but he did not serve in Vietnam. Enlisting in 1972, he served as a paratrooper with the 8th Infantry Division in Germany, assigned to the 3rd Squadron, 8th Armored Cavalry. Mr. Anderson made more than 100 free fall jumps with the 8th Division team. I think he was taller when he started jumping. He was honorably discharged at the rank of Sergeant E5. He returned to America in 1975 to train as a journalist, spending nearly 20 years with the United Press International and the Associated Press. Assigned to UPI, Mr. Anderson covered the unveiling of the Vietnam War Memorial on the Washington Mall when it was dedicated on November 13, 1982. In 2003, as editor of the Antelope Valley Press, he volunteered to embed with the Antelope Valley National Guard unit in Iraq. Mr. Anderson volunteers with the AVSOA Committee, Point Man Antelope Valley, Vets for Veterans, Coffee for Vets, Operation All the Way Home, and many other local and national groups that support veterans of our armed services. And he works in and amongst doing all of that volunteer work. So I would like you to give a warm welcome to Dennis Anderson.
I just want to let you know it took 100 jumps to get down to Station Nemeth MC height. But good morning to all of you and all of you friends. And I look across this beautiful sea of faces on this gorgeous morning, and I know that we have the Army here. If you noticed. We have the Navy. We have the Air Force. There's a few Air Force in this valley. You named a base for it. We also have that eccentric Corps of Naval Infantry, the United States Marine Corps. Always going to hear from them. We also have Coasties, Coast Guard. Saw them riverine in Kuwait, Iraq, on the Fa Peninsula. Know they served brown water in Vietnam. I know they are guarding our coast even as we speak right now. We also have the Army National Guard. We have the reserves. We have the Air National Guard. They're all here. And so are your friends and your family and people who love this country. We are all here together, and today we are all family, and we have no cause against each other, only for and with one another. So I'm going to tell, I know of the great speeches. If you had our 16th president in Gettysburg, it was 456 words, it was 4.5 minutes, and he considered it a failure, but that's the one people remember. So I know what I can really say is that this will be little noted nor long remembered, and I'll be accurate, and that's a good thing. But one of the reasons that I'm here today, and when I look out and I see my friends and my family, honestly, I know that there are those who have served more and who have suffered more. One of my greatest and most beautiful friends, who's a Vietnam combat veteran, says, well, the thing with you veterans, with us veterans, is we always deprecate ourselves. Nobody's ever worthy. I have another friend who is a therapist, and she says, we always think that the other fella, brother or sister, did something else, did something more. But that's not what Veterans Day is about. Veterans Day is for all who have served. And that is how it gets conflated with Memorial Day from time to time for those who are not in the know, or for that too many fellow countrymen and who think that it's an opportunity for shopping, or to have the barbecue or the picnic, and those are all worthy followings as well. But I'm here today because of a few names that some of you will know and some of you will not know. One was my friend Joe Galloway, who hired me into United Press International almost 40 years ago. And Joe had a soft spot for those who had served. And some of you might have seen the film We Were Soldiers, or you might know about what happened at Ia Drang in 1965. And Joe Galloway was the 22-year-old UPI correspondent who was at the Battle of Ia Drang in 1965. We were sitting in a Thai restaurant one day, and he said, "Andy, you ever hear of the Battle of Ia Drang?" And I said, "Joe, when did it occur?" 1965. I said, "Joe, I was 12. So what would follow would be that aspect of timing. Timing is everything. Timing is those who are on the wall and those who are here. Timing is those who served in a time of war and those who had the benefits and blessings of liberty to not have to live through a time of war. But Joe was telling me about the Battle of Ia Drang, which went on to become his book, We Were Soldiers Once and Young, and I thought, it's good that a UPI journalist has got a book in his drawer. We all got books in our drawer, and 28 years later, it remains in continuous print. It spent 14 months on a bestsellers list. But more to the point, it's required reading on the West Point Commandant's reading list in the United States Marine Corps Officer Basic Course. It must be read by all of those who aspire to leadership because it's considered a case study in leadership. So there was coincidence and timing in knowing Joe Galloway and that he would hire me to write for United Press International. And that was how I came to be at the dedication on November 13th, 1982, of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington. And my, oh my, a day like this, it was a day like this. It was this beautiful. There were just another 150,000 of you out there on the Washington Mall. And they were people who greeted one another and people who loved one another. And as we had a little march toward what would be the new memorial was built without taxpayer funds, and there was some controversy that attended it. Some veterans argued that it should not be black granite. that what was this? It was funereal, it was somber, and that Maya Lin, the architect, she was 21 years old. What could she know? And what she knew was that the memorial would be those, what are now 58,318 names on that wall. And who are the names? Some of them are your relatives. Some of them were your friends. Some of them were the people who, in the matter of timing, did not get to come home so that we could all be here this morning. And how lovely is that? I walked alongside a man named Lodston, and he's in my notebook from the UPI archives. And man, oh man, I got to find Lodston, because everybody was marching along, and he was rolling along in his wheelchair, and he didn't need two legs to march. And he said, yeah, I just got laid off in Indiana. I'm going to go back to school and study for psychology and be a veterans voc rehab counselor. Should have done that years ago. That's what they told me. And I thought, how alike is that this morning? That we have people who can march without their legs, that we still have layoffs in Indiana, and that we have people who will find their purpose in helping their brother and sister veterans. So wherever Lodston is out there today, I am thinking about him. I'm also thinking about the guy who was designated to speak today. You know, when I'm heard that, not worthy of it, are you? I served in a place called the Fulda Gap, and it was just a minefield of nuclear weapons. And 30 years later, I got to go to Iraq with brothers and sisters from the National Guard. And my career began to shift away from media and reporting toward thinking about veterans on a daily basis after my son served in a place called Fallujah. When I heard Fallujah invoked in the Marine Corps letter last night at the Marine Corps birthday, I had to get a little bit soft and misty, because that's where my son lost his heart and his innocence. And it was a few miles away from there that one of my favorite Gold Star mothers lost her boy. So the shift of emphasis began to be toward when I found my first National Guard brother who had gone homeless after 3 trips to the desert. We can do better. And I know that everybody who is out here is part of the doing better part. But the way that I got to be at the wall was because Joe Galloway hired me into UPI. So that's the duty I got that day. And then there was another fellow who was at the wall that day, and he is one of our friends who, you know, when we all lift a glass to absent friends, Robert Bob Evans is our absent friend who we would want to be here today. We lost him in April of this year. People came to his memorial services, people who were sitting here, people who cared about Bob. And Bob was a distinguished man. He had not waited to be drafted. He had not waited to accept all the letters to the universities that had accepted him, and they were good ones. He volunteered into the United States Army, and he volunteered into what in that year of 1968 was the most dangerous job in the world, and that was combat infantry. And he volunteered from a staff job in the southern portion of the Republic of South Vietnam into a combat command with the 101st Airborne. And the thing Bob was most proud of was that until he got hit with a K-47 and took most of his jaw away, there weren't any casualties in his platoon. And he was signaling his men to get down when he got hit. 9 years of reconstructive surgery would follow. They never really quite took. He never lost his spirit. He never lost his zest for life. When his brother came to visit him at the Oakland Military Hospital, he got in with a bottle of Johnny Walker, and they got out to go get some McDonald's. And Bob wasn't supposed to get out, but he did. So that was Bob. A man of my same parachute jumping height, more slight, like me and Brother Mike BERTELL. So we know that there are people here who have in our view, would say served more. We know theirs who have suffered more. We have our Gold Star parents today. No one can know their experience. They can only have the good fortune to know them if they get to. And those are the matters of timing. The Gold Star in our family actually happened 99 years ago. And he was Joseph Otto Turley. He was a Marine who served in the Meuse-Argonne offensive. And he was tagged on November 11th and bagged on November 12th. He was my grandmother's brother. And the loss of him and her family, I only came to understand after taking all these trips that led to the journey that leads us here today. So when those who are inclined towards spiritual practice say it is all connected, it is all connected. Robert Evans was at the wall in Washington Memorial on November 13th, 1982. We had never seen one another in that crowd of 150,000. Joe Galloway and his service at Yadrang. Joe Galloway's moment at Yadrang as a combat reporter was he had arrived there and there was a commander on the ground who said, I need bullets, I need plasma, I need water, and they send me a goddamn reporter. But Joe has been the GI's goddamn reporter every year since, and he's the Ernie Pyle of the Vietnam War and later generations. And his name on the wall, well, there are dozens. It's panel 3 East. And there were dozens that fell in 48 hours at the Yadrang between Elzey X-ray and the long walk out for some that ended very quickly. And his was Jimmy Nakayama. And Jimmy was the guy that reporters get on the ground and they talk to people, and all we do is we just chat. If we're doing our job right, we're not trying to nail somebody. We're just trying to find out a little bit about them and where they came from. And Jimmy was about to be a dad. And on the day that Joe loaded him dying into the helicopter, Jimmy Nakayama was a dad. And he said, tell my wife I love her. So that's Joe's name on the wall. And that's Jimmy's name on the wall. And that's our names on the wall. They are part of us. We are part of them. And if you have a name that you know, that's the name that you know, but they are all part of you. And if we had trouble with parking this morning because we had a huge softball tournament out there, friends, that is what you were fighting for. That is what you were here for. This is what you came here to do. And that is the service you have rendered. So I'm only lucky to be here, and I want to say thank you, and I hope that you have a wonderful Veterans Day. It's already wonderful for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I really don't know what to say about that, but sorry I called you short, I guess. But no, thank you so much for your military service, for your intellect, and for sharing your stories with us today. I truly appreciate it. And I truly appreciate your dedication to our veterans community. There have been so many improvements since you have retired from editor of the Antelope Valley Press and moved into the mental health world. You are truly making a difference, Dennis. Thank you. And as a special token of our appreciation for our veterans, we have the Guardian Brass is going to play America the Beautiful. And I don't know how many of you ever get to be saluted by a brass band. We started this last year, and I think it's pretty cool. So I would like to say thank you very much for coming out today to play for us, and let them play America the Beautiful. Thank you very much. I hope all of our veterans are feeling the love we have for you today. We truly appreciate you. Since 2014, the AV Wall has been honored to be a United States of America Vietnam War Commemorative Partner, recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. This enables us to properly recognize and thank our Vietnam veterans with the Vietnam Veteran Lapel pin. It is a privilege to have this opportunity. I would like to ask my committee members who are participating in the distribution of the pins and scrolls to please come forward. The 50th commemoration of the Vietnam War has been established by the Department of Defense to try, in a very small way, to make up for the poor behavior of the United States when our veterans returned 50 years ago. So, in that vein, we are privileged to distribute Vietnam Veteran lapel pins to all United States veterans who served on active duty, regardless of location, in the United States Armed Forces from November 1st, 1955 to May 15th, 1975. Get up here. Get in place, please. I know what I'm doing. I don't know what happened here. I would like to invite all United States veterans who fall into that date category of November 1st, 1955 to May 15th, 1975 to please stand and be recognized. And I would like to ask you to please come to the center aisle, come forward and receive your pin and your scroll. And when you're finished, return to your seats because we have some more entertainment for you. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. That's always such an emotional thing for us as well as for the Vietnam veterans, but it is a privilege to distribute those pins as a small token of our appreciation. To continue the celebration of our veterans, the Guardian Brass is going to present their rendition of the Armed Forces Medley. This is where you guys get a little competitive, stand up, sing your song, do all that stuff, okay? So as your military branch's song is played, please stand and show us you remember those words to that song. Sing along, civilians, if you know the words to these songs. And so we begin.
One, two, two.
Army! Come on, Army, guys! As the faces come rolling along. That's all I know. Marines! Be loud, Marines! We will fight our country's battles in the land I'm a Coast Guard. Wow, that was very impressive, and I'm sorry I don't know the words to Semper Pirellis, but hey, I did pretty well on the other ones, all right? Thank you all so much for coming out today. Thank you, veterans, for your service. Thank you, citizens. Thank you, dignitaries. Thank you, guests, family, everybody. It is a beautiful day out here to honor our veterans. Before you leave today, please look a veteran in the eye, shake his hand, shake her hand, give them a hug, tell them thank you for your service. We appreciate you. We would not be able to do this, and as Dennis stated, we would not be able to have parking problems without the freedoms that they have made sure we have. I would like to invite everybody to come back this evening. We're having a candlelight memorial service put on by the City of Palmdale Recreation and Culture staff, and it is where we will read the names of the 76 soldiers who are on the Vietnam Wall, and we will place a candle by their name. Taps will be played this evening and tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. This evening it will be a trombone taps, and tomorrow evening it will be a trumpet taps. We will remain open 24 hours a day until 8 a.m. on Monday, November 13th. And just as a note, next year on Veterans Day, our wall will be on display in Tempe, Arizona. It will not be here. If you come here, you might be a little lonely. But we will be in Tempe, and you are more than welcome to visit us there. Our President Emeritus lives in Tempe, Arizona, and he's been asking for us to come out there for quite a few years, and we have been adamantly telling him no. But he's been there long enough to establish enough of a base that we finally said, okay, you win, we'll go. So next Veterans Day, we will be in Tempe, Arizona, and in 2019, we will be back here for our 10-year anniversary, which is sure to be a fantastic celebration of our wall. So have a wonderful day. Please thank a veteran, hug a veteran, shake hands with a veteran, and thank you, veterans. Enjoy the rest of your day.